everybody. Welcome to Apex Investor. Gonna check the stocks today. Haven't been able to check that yet. Having some technical difficulties, but in the meantime, as this page is loading, or as these pages are loading, I'm trying to up the production values a little bit. I'm no longer going to use what looks like it is essentially a camping chair. It's what people use for camping or picnics. It's a fold-out Coleman kind of thing. So I've upgraded that, and even the things I'm wearing. So I'm not going to wear just whatever I wear, casually. I just wanted to dress up a little bit. Now I understand the perception is for YouTube, excuse me, YouTube streamers. When it comes to the stock market, they tend to not dress up. I'm not sure if that's just I'm not sure if that's just something they want to do to indicate, they're against the establishment, but I'm just doing that just to show formality and to up the production values. I think when people see that you take yourself seriously, uh, they'll respect you more. So, okay, so it looks like we have had a down day today. Uh, I was saying yesterday, that I have a feeling this will rally on Monday, or at least, next week it will rally. DD is down. Okay, 5%. What else can I say here? MetaMaterials is down, so about 7% today. So that bodes well for me in terms of wanting to buy it and average down, or anybody who wants to average down, you can do that. We're starting to see where the true support is. Sony's above $100. Roblox is steady there at $86. Sorrento, a biotech company, is down 11% today. CTXR is down 17% today. It's a pharmaceutical biotech company. Canaan continues to drop, only down about 4% today. So that's the Chinese cryptocurrency company. They produce the Bitcoin mining machines. So my plan today didn't come to pass, but just delay it till tomorrow, is to sell some of my shares in other companies and buy into MetaMaterials at this low price. Pretty much a fire sale. Sensonics is up just a slight bit, 351. Not too much to talk about, though. Bitcoin is down to 34,000 US dollars per Bitcoin. B Square is down almost 10%. Take a look at that. Clover is down 5%, starting to get closer to dropping below $10. Mavis is down. It seems to be a down day all around. Microvision, Mavis is down a little bit too. Atos is down 16%. Wow. So I was talking about this the other day, and I said this will go down, and it did significantly. monsters, I call them. AMC and GME are both down today. 51, me 202, 83. So overall, I would say it's not the best day for anybody. It's pretty much a down day for most of the trending stocks. Again, they're known as the meme stocks. I call them the trending stocks because they're trending on social media. And I think meme stocks is a derogatory term, saying that they aren't good companies and it's just, a joke, basically, because memes are understood to be jokes for the most part. Um, so I'm going to look at all these tabs I just opened up, starting with MetaMaterials. Just see how it progressed today, or I should say, went the other way, how it declined today. See how high it went and how low it went. Now, normally what I do on this channel is I look at the movers and shakers in the market in terms of the biggest losers, biggest winners. I might do that just really briefly. MetaMaterials. Okay, so wow, it actually went up to 730. Actually, no, that's not true. It opened at 730, so it was around $7.30. Opened at 727, went up a little bit, and then dropped in that first hour, that crucial first hour, to 680. Uh, the low today was 672. So you can pick this up tomorrow at 672. Very, very good price there. If you want to enter at that point. Again, this is a period of testing for shareholders, especially if you bought in at $10 a share, or pre-reverse stock split, $20 a share. Um, it does take a certain amount of faith. It does take a certain amount of patience and self-control as well, just to hold on to the stock, because again, you're not looking at the short term, the small picture, as in July uh, July 5th. You're looking at um, you're looking at the big picture, looking at the next 6 months, or maybe even the next year, into the next 5, 10 years. Okay, it looks here. It says here July 2nd, so I'm not sure if the market was even open today. But there is a press release, or there's news coming out from George Palikaras, the CEO, founder of MetaMaterials. He reports the holdings in MetaMaterials. So I'm going to look at that, and I'm just going to reload this page. Maybe the market was not open today. It was July 4th yesterday, so I'm not sure if this is a long weekend and whether the market was even open today. I feel like it would have been open. Um, so that's a little confusing. Even B square, I'm not sure if the market is open. It's saying July 2nd, which technically would be the Friday. So was it a long weekend? Is today a long weekend? Did I just walk into a trap of not so much a trap, but uh, of basically nothing happened because the market was not open today, perhaps? So please comment and tell me if the market was open, because all I'm seeing here is that closed July 2nd, unless my computer is glitching out. Let me check the stream, and then I'll look at FinViz, because it seems like we might be stuck in Friday. I'll check FinViz just to confirm. I don't think the market was open today. Supposedly, it was not open. So everything I'm saying is basically from Friday. So yeah, it's uncharacteristic of the markets to not rally on Monday. And today, I'm sure, is Monday. It says July 5th on my calendar, Monday. So it's due to the July 4th long weekend. Uh, Perhaps because July 4th took place on a Sunday, they decided to extend that into Monday, perhaps. So we're going to news that was just posted on Yahoo Finance. It says George Palikaras reports holdings. It says MetaMaterials CEO and founder and director uh, today announced he has filed an early warning report under National Instrument 62-103, the early warning system and related takeover bid and insider reporting issues in connection with the closing of the previously announced business combination or merger involving MetaMaterials and okay. Just trying to make sense of this. Okay, Canco. This might have to do with the Canadian Stock Exchange, perhaps. Anyway, this release seems to be showing that MetaMaterials is still going through the, I'll just say growing pains, for lack of a better term, growing pains for this merger. It does take time for this to be finalized, for all the dust to settle, for this to be fully processed and complete. It's not a simple thing where you just, you know, edit a stock ticker symbol and then just move the shares over. We're starting to learn, uh, at least in this case of metamaterials and Torchlight, that just what exactly goes on in terms of a stock merger. And more specifically, this is a Canadian company acquiring an American company, essentially a Torchlight. American and metamaterials is based in Canada. And I just wanted to briefly touch on that fact that they're Canadian. There have been two companies in my mind that really stand out in terms of Canadian companies being successful in an international stage, especially when it comes to the stock market and entrepreneurship. That's number one, BlackBerry with Lazaridis there. I believe he's also a Greek. And the second company is Bombardier, a aviation company, and they became one of the largest. Actually, they still are one of the largest aviation companies in the globe. So, can metamaterials be successful just because they're in Canada? Is that a barrier to success? And the answer is no, because we've seen BlackBerry achieve their successes. They were one of the leading mobile phone producers and still are very much trusted when it comes to security, digital security, and secure phones. A lot of government uh, staff still use BlackBerry. It is military encrypted. Actually, it's probably the top encrypted kind of phone to use. Um, yeah, so it seems like, again, the markets were closed today. So I was all excited to see this rally. But you know what? It's all good because today was just was a day off. So I'm gonna check MetaMaterials Reddit subreddit and then Wall Street Bets. I'd like to say thank you to the new subscribers, all the support I've been getting. Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. I mean, I could just post videos about anything, literally anything, but uh, this has been on my heart to do in regards to the stock market, investing, and uh, I feel like the stock market is one of the better options, or maybe a more practical option than perhaps getting into real estate or getting into the gold rush, accumulating gold and silver, precious metals, or even crypto. Uh, I'm just going to get into those reasons really briefly. Real estate does take a lot of training to become a real estate. What do you call it? Where you're selling an agent, real estate agent, or becoming someone like a Donald Trump. Uh, Getting into that sector is very competitive and takes a lot of time and training. Um, Secondly, the accumulation or collecting of precious metals, although is very appealing on a very artificial or superficial level. Uh, the practicality of it, where people would just pull their money, but actually make an exchange. For instance, if I have a an item such as a car or something that somebody needs, and they come to make an exchange with me, and they want to transfer their money. I should say not their money, but their silver and gold. It is not that it's difficult, but it is a challenge to determine what is the correct amount of gold or silver to be given. And if one, if somebody has 1 ounce of silver, how will they then divide that? How do they ration that out? Because again, 1 ounce of silver is worth, around I think $40, if not maybe less than that, but around that. So how do you determine that this is the correct amount? And and if it usually will be more, if somebody has gold, for instance, it's hard to divide that unless you have one of those little, breakable, like you can break pieces of gold off. That is not maybe as practical as it would seem. So people are not. I feel like yes, it is a good idea to uh, invest in precious metals, silver and gold, and to transfer some of uh, your savings into that. Some people say at least 10%. So I think the practicality of that is going to be a challenge. People are not really. I don't think people are thinking about, okay, if we get to that point and money doesn't mean anything anymore, you can't use U.S. dollars. It's worth, it will take like $1 billion U.S. dollars to buy a piece of bread, for instance, kind of like what happened in Zimbabwe and Venezuela. So, you know, what do we do then? Well, then you'll have to revert. You'll have to uh, go to precious metals, silver, gold, and perhaps Bitcoin as well. And actually, I do see crypto being that standard of trading and exchanging goods instead of gold. Not that gold will not be used; it will retain its value. Actually, it will go up. It will appreciate in its value, but I feel like Bitcoin might be a more practical solution to that, especially if technology continues to function in terms of the internet and everything, and the infrastructure. The technological infrastructure continues to uh, to go on unabated. Okay, so I see here is over 7,000 members now since I last went here. So we've seen an increase in membership and MetaMaterials subreddit. There's 650 online right now. Ortex up to and including June 25th. The problem is that we are currently receiving daily data from prime brokers for Torchlight. Oh, but not yet for MetaMaterials. So by transferring the live data feed across to MetaMaterials, it would give the appearance that shorts are covering when this is probably not the case. Wow, this is from Ortex. The shorts position in Torchlight dropping significantly more likely reflects stockbrokers returning Torchlight stock and reborrowing it as metamaterials. We're actively pursuing this with our partners to resolve this particular situation and correctly reflect the position in metamaterials. So that is an interesting update from Vortex support of all places. It says MetaMaterials breaking news: Brent crude oil surpasses $77 per barrel for the first time since 2018. So that's great news in regards to them selling off the assets of Torchlight, which again is an oil and gas company. So that's really good news when you think about it. You have one market that I say, yeah, it is recovering, oil and gas, but it may decline, not all of a sudden, but very gradually over the next, probably 10, 20 years because of the transition from uh, people moving to the petroleum vehicles, petroleum powered vehicles versus electric vehicles. Someone passing on some DD here. I'm going to open that in a new tab. It says here from 1 hour ago, CEO of MetaMaterials now owns 11%. So George Palikaris reports his holdings. That's what we read early, just at the start of the stream. So what this means is that he owns 11% of all the uh, shares in MetaMaterials. So that's great. That's good news. Government enforced holding day, July 5th today. So I'm going to open that and just maybe see if that will tell us that the market was closed. I think it was. There's actually a lot of DD being posted here on MetaMaterials. This is like the one that went under the radar. But it went under the radar of WallStreetBets. It's really not on the front page at all. I haven't even seen it on the page. So TLDR says things are in our favor for a short squeeze, and his body is ready. Let's put it that way. But he's strapped in for incoming emotional roller coasters, meaning uh, very high chance of short manipulation. Am I the only one who doesn't care a short squeeze happens? No, you're not the only one. Uh, people just believe in this company. Why to buy, hold, a real example. Okay. Someone is saying here, please stop posting about dividends. They have to sell the assets first of Torchlight in order for you to get your dividend. And I agree with that. That's uh, one of the prerequisites to uh, giving out the dividend. Someone posted here, do we want WallStreetBets to even notice the metamaterial squeeze? Uh, yes and no. Yes, because that would bring a lot more volume into the stock, but no, because it would also bring the shorts into it would bring also more shorts to short the stock as well. So it's a win-lose. It's a double-edged sword. So I'm going to read these posts and then look at WallStreetBets and then close out this stream. So I apologize for uh, the loading of the pages. It's something that is out of my control, but nonetheless, it would be a lot more efficient if these pages would load much quicker. So someone passed on DED here. Thanks for my daily dose of opium. So there's a connection with Lockheed Martin. So I'm going to open that up. So it's a link to another link. So I'll read that last since it's loading another page. Government enforced holding day, July 5th. So today's the government enforced holding day. Markets are closed in US, so they are closed on account of excessive drinking. Okay, well, I guess that's what happens. I was not aware that July 4th, if it falls on a Sunday, automatically the Monday becomes an extension of that. Yeah. So the shorts have 1 day less to cover this week. So that's a good way to see it. I like that perspective. The half full, half the cup is half full viewpoint. Next is NASDAQ elevates Meta to unicorn. Okay, people are saying, please don't post this article. Doesn't need pumping. Yeah, I agree with that. But volume wouldn't hurt either. Okay, someone said, is it 4 a.m. yet? Yeah, well, we have quite a while to go. We have about less than 9 hours until the pre-market. Next is MetaMaterials update discussing shorts and more Elon Musk. Is that a video? Okay, I'll look at this. So I'm looking at this in real time, obviously in a live stream. So I haven't had the opportunity to screen any of this. I haven't had the luxury of screening this content. So I'm just looking at it now. Okay. This is actually a very interesting post. I'm going to zoom in because the text is very fine print here. There you go. Okay. So this is a long post. I'm going to just scan through it. Did you know the government owns shares? I think the U.S. government. Do you know the U.S. government owns shares within MetaMaterial by proxy? The incubator is owned by the government. Okay. So this guy who posted this, his name's Leszek Kowalski. So this is actually the article I was meant to read last, so I'm going to read it now. Innova Corp, Nova Scotia's venture capital Crown Corporation, invested $3 million in MetaMaterials in 2015. Ray said, who's Ray? Ray said that Innova Corp status as a major shareholder means securities law prevented him from saying whether his fund plans to cash out any of its position. But he added that the new market cap is in line with what he had hoped for from the company. The space they're in and the opportunity that's present in the future, or I should say in the market rather, that's present in the market, suggested that it had that potential to be a unicorn or to be $1 billion plus company, he said. What I'd say is exciting is that, from my mind, the market has sort of caught up to that same expectation. It's one thing for us to believe a company is great and looks like it has huge potential. It's another for independent third parties in the market in general to share that same view. Let me just turn down my volume so I don't hurt my own ears. So there's an article. I'm just going to open that another tab. June 30 post, I wrote the following: MetaMaterials was involved within the actual incubation process. How do I know that? Investment. Wow. Okay, people. This was from June the 1st, 2017. So 4 years ago. MetaMaterial Technology signs a $5.6 million agreement with Lockheed Martin. That's a small investment, but nevertheless, it is a business deal. So Lockheed Martin, one of the largest aerospace and military companies on the planet and in the US, United States, partners with MetaMaterials Technologies to support development of Meta Solar, making its first solar investment in Canada. So they invested in them in regards to solar technology, solar materials, to make an ultra lightweight, high efficiency nanoweb technology suitable for flight. So they were called MTI back then, Meta Material Technologies Incorporated. Actually, I like that name a lot because that is just an amalgamation, or I don't know how you say it, but if you rearrange the letters, you get MIT, don't you? So MTI, MIT. MTI, or MetaMaterials, uses the latest achievements in optical science. Okay, it's just getting into a spiel. We are pleased to see our ITB investment going to a great Canadian global innovator such as MetaMaterial Technologies Incorporated. Their work in the field of smart materials and in developing a disruptive solar application suitable for flight is an example of what Canadian technology offers the world, said Charles Bouchard, Chief Executive of Lockheed Martin Canada. Wow. So that is huge news. I know this was from 2017, but that partnership is still going on. It hasn't ended. MetaMaterials was further developed within an incubator startup facility that includes relationships to Lockheed Martin and Tesla. So that is their actual physical location, I think. Now, MetaMaterials itself will be an investor within the same incubation program that they were involved in. Crown Corporation is defined as a corporation owned by the federal or state provincial government. So it is a Crown Corporation. Who is? Wonder who is the Crown Corporation. This changes my perspective. This kind of changes my perspective on this merger. Here's why. When you have government involved in a venture, either directly or by proxy, they will maximize their positions. Yeah, they don't want to lose their money. They want to make sure what they're investing in will be fruitful, will be successful. Anytime you have government involved, you introduce additional layers of compliance to mitigate future negative exposures or risk. This is a good post, a good blog. It is one thing to have a corporate entity make a decision that unilaterally involves a dividend, oil assets divestiture, reverse split merger. It's everything we're seeing now. Russell listing, QSIP change, and share repurchase, plus the integration into an existing listed NASDAQ shell Torchlight in a polar opposite industry sector, as well as OTC, off the counter or off the market, and CSE components. So those are a lot of important factors, but he continues here. It becomes something completely different when you have a government connection involved in your transaction. Let me explain. When you have a list of tasks to complete that border on the edge of the extreme, things like that don't happen out of chance. They happen by design, with a laser precision focus to achieve a certain outcome, whatever the intended outcome is in this case. I need water. With the government component involved by proxy, there's going to be a very strong compliance element to the entire merger. All parties involved are going to want to maximize shareholder value, but under the directive of compliance. I have worked directly with government in my professional career. They have a very strong compliance directive. Yeah, that's true. In my opinion, if a pseudo style short squeeze was part of the design intent, it probably is not going to look like the way one may expect, like we saw with AMC GME. They will not jeopardize the regulatory liquidity requirements associated with the clearinghouses and brokerages. Yeah. June 30 post, I wrote the following. Here's an address associated with Tesla, the same address as MetaMaterials. So here's the address for one location associated with the incubator. The Bays at Innova Corp, same address. Wow. As this is the first NASDAQ listing for the incubator, just one moment, please. As this is the first NASDAQ listing for the incubator, and with Tesla registered at the same address as MetaMaterials, excuse me, common sense would assume, oh, I don't like that word, but common sense would dictate the incubator potentially may have sought counsel from any resource available to them. And he spelled counsel wrong. Inclusive of any resource with potential experience of being previously listed on NASDAQ. Actually, he didn't spell counsel wrong. He's using the wrong counsel. It's just pronounced the same way. I'm not privy to that information. It is just speculation. When you have a government connection involved in your transaction by proxy, every share will be accounted for simply based on the directive of compliance. That's a great point. I've been saying this, well, not this exact point, but I've been saying how MetaMaterials, not only do they have potential deals with not only Tesla, but all these large aerospace uh, and navigation, aviation companies that are all funded for the most part by the US government, specifically the Department of Defense. Um, we already know now, just from this article, that Lockheed Martin are an investor in MetaMaterials as of 2017. So over 4 years now, they've been with the MetaMaterials, and uh, they're not dealing with a company with MetaMaterials for it to fail and for it to do something that is legally questionable. The government is the only and the final regulatory. Let me redo that whole thing. Government is the only and final regulatory body over all other regulatory bodies, regardless of jurisdiction. In my opinion, that brings additional comfort. The first being what I wrote in my July 2nd post. When I read within the 8K document that MetaMaterials knows how to access Fortune 500 relationships, it brought me some comfort because I knew that they knew, or I know that they knew. Hold on a sec. I know that they know how to communicate in that specific way to those specific people. If MetaMaterials senior management can announce between $2 to $4 billion in new contracts, especially during the virtual event on July the 6th. Oh, wow. That's a good point. That's tomorrow. Wow. So that's why it's tomorrow, because today was a holiday or a day off. So if they can announce a potential massive deal tomorrow worth billions of dollars with one of these aerospace aviation companies, military or otherwise government related companies, that will show me how effective they are in developing these relationships. And they don't have to do it tomorrow. They could do it anytime between now and the next year. But we should see something within the next year. It would be uh, not prudent. It would be unwise for them not to announce any big news in the next year from this merger date that just happened just the past month. In my opinion, it's very important they communicate a contract value number as well during that event. It will help to define the future perceived value within the MetaMaterials share price by the market. That's a very good point. Very good point. Uh, Often, we talk about potential deals with Tesla, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon. There's a company I'm missing right now, but Northrop Grumman, essentially the of the world. Uh, I know it's a fictional character, but essentially that's what they are. They're the Stark Industries of the real world. To announce a deal with one of these companies would, again, like he said, would define the future perceived value, or not even the future perceived value, but just the perceived value in the present and into the future. Because I would say future perceived value is not something that people they don't take into account into the present. People will look at a company like Tesla and say, they're going to be, if not the leader in the automobile sector, but one of the leaders. They'll be one of the top 10 companies in the automobile sector in the world. That's a future perceived statement. That's a future statement. It's forward looking, but it is also something that people will apply into the net here and now. So although Tesla isn't number one, GM right now, the perception when you talk to anybody, random person on the street and ask them, what would you rather buy, a GM vehicle or a Tesla vehicle if you had all the money in the world? And I would wager, I would bet that Tesla would be the answer. It would be the winner just by majority. No individual can predict the future, what happens to the market, but you can assume that the new metamaterials merged shell administrative tasks will be executed to the highest standards of compliance based on the above perspective I've outlined because they owe the government. And every share will be accounted for so that positions can be maximized. That's a great point. That's one thing that AMC and GameStop lack. They don't have deals with the federal government. Therefore, not that they're not compliant, but uh, perhaps they are less beholden to more strict standards of compliance. And when it comes to the market, the stock market, uh, they have a little more leeway. Let's put it that way. From this point of view, I interpret things being delayed as a potential positive development. That's also a great point. This is a good blog. Uh, I agree with this point because if they were to rush this merger and rush everything being processed, that shows a lack of care, a lack of um, lack of care in terms of doing everything by the book and making sure that no detail, however small, is being neglected. Let's look at another perspective. July 2nd, NASDAQ updated the metamaterials market cap to 2 billion, just rounding it off, 1.8 billion. The sector and industry remain energy, oil, and gas production post merger. Algorithms require time to recognize after a proper data update that MetaMaterials is a technology company with a much higher market cap than what was previously associated with Torchlight. The algorithms will assume the MetaMaterials shell continues to operate in energy, specifically oil and gas production, with a low market cap until data is updated. So it continues to be a mess, or it continues to be not updated. I estimate it will take, at a minimum, the remainder of this week to have all proper corrections completed and updated accordingly. That's a good estimation. I'd say probably 40 days from the merger date. Could take longer. I don't know. We'll see. Shouldn't take more than a year, though. That's a little crazy. I would say at the most a quarter. Give it 3 months. It should be all sorted out by then. The dust should settle by then in terms of uh, the market cap, in terms of everything just being sorted out, and possibly even the shares, uh, where we have the shorts being kicked out of the door and all the real shares being accounted for. There will no longer be naked shorts, if there are any, and there most likely is. Actually, this is a really big video when I think about that, what I just said. That is a very, not just a strong statement, but a very strong possibility. Actually, not even strong. I'd say it's 99.9% certain to happen because of those three things of the merger, reverse stock split, and the dividend. Just one of those alone is huge. If GameStop or AMC were to announce or a reverse stock split or a dividend, any one of those would get the shorts to run like hell. Why isn't it happening now? Well, again, there's a lot of complications with this merger, and those have to be sorted out. What this uh, writer has said is very true. They have more of an expectation and more of a uh, higher standard to meet uh, the legal compliance when it comes to the stock market and to make sure they're not going to screw up, especially when they're dealing with the federal government. There's more of a chance of being penalized. And so right now they're under a microscope. So they have to do this uh, merger and everything, finalize all the details of the dividend, reverse stock split, everything in regards to the market cap. Everything that is being said here has to be done in such a way that there's no room for error. Yes, there could be some errors, but there really is no room for error. The above diagram for MetaMaterials end of day, July 2nd, correlates the MetaMaterials price, MetaMaterials volume, days to cover, uh, utilization, cost to borrow, free float on loan, exchange reported, blah, blah, blah. Volumes continue. Volumes continue to be impacted post-merger and more than likely will take the remainder of this week to get its bearings after the remaining administrative requirements are completed. So I guess one of the big questions on my mind, probably on your mind, is how much lower can the stock go? Is 650 the floor, or can it go down to $5? That's like a nightmare scenario, going down to not even five, but maybe even $2. Can it go down to two? Because I remember MetaMaterials was, or I should say Torchlight and MetaMaterials, both of them were below $1. So could this go to $2? I don't know. I can't say yes or no, but just using the knowledge I have right now, the lowest I could see it going to, yeah, it could go to $2, but is that likely? I think the answer is no. More realistically, this could go to four or even as low as six, just six flat. Could it go to five? Maybe, but is that likely? I don't think so. I think we're starting to see that as much as this is being shorted, it hasn't dropped below $6. So perhaps six is that very much the bottom, the absolute floor. And it's dangerous to say the word absolute, but it looks like that is a very strong base of support at $6. And we haven't touched that yet, but 650, we did go close to 650. So March 8th, 2011, Tesla shares formally opened. They formally opened on the NASDAQ at, get this price, $4.92. Okay, that was 10 years ago. Over 10 years ago, they opened at $4.92. This is Tesla. And we know they've gone through at least one uh, stock split since then. And not only that, but they were over $1,000 before the split. And they split to, I think it was around 300, 400 per share. And their stock went right back up to, I believe, 800, 900, almost 1,000. That is very, that's an important point. This guy is right. They were at 492 and they opened uh, for public trading. They were originally priced at $17 prior to opening. So you can see that that was shorted as well. Does that ring a bell? Yeah, it does, because MetaMaterials, before the stock merger, it was $22. I'm talking about Torchlight here, $22 per share. And now that the merger has taken place, it's not finalized, but it has been shorted to 674. So we see a similar scenario here. Say buying Tesla at $17 is a good deal. Well, of course you'd say so. So why can't we say the same thing about MetaMaterials? That buying this at $22 a share when it was at $11 as Torchlight, why isn't that a good deal? Well, because people live in the present. So if we were to go take a time machine to 2030 or 2031 and see what the price would be for MetaMaterials, and perhaps it will be in triple digits, you would say, you know what, buying it at $22 was a really good deal. At the time, I was discouraged because it was being shorted and the stock merger had not been completely finalized. It had all the things that had to be done in terms of transferring the assets, selling off the assets, delivering on the dividend to the shareholders. All those things were not complete yet. So why would you sell? That's my question to shareholders of MetaMaterials. Why would you sell? Doesn't make sense to me, right? Especially when you look at this company in comparison to Tesla and what they went through. So he writes exactly what I just said. Tesla shares 10 years later increased significantly, over $1,000, and they included 5-for-1 stock split. Every one share became 5. And their value as of today is $678 per share after the stock split. So it was not a cakewalk for Elon in 2016. Approximately 25% of Tesla shares were out of loan, or I should say were out on loan, with short interest at an all-time high. What would you say to someone who's shorting your stock? Elon Musk responds, probably unwise. Here's the link to the above tweet. If you have a moment, so look at the retweets. 108 retweets, 463 likes. That sounds like somebody I know just on Twitter, like someone who's not Elon Musk. So that is interesting. If you have a moment, review the associated comments within the above tweet. Look familiar? Senior management do not like shorts. From the senior management perspective, short focus on their company's potential future failure and not their future success, taking money from those who believe in it. Whereas investors buy into a company as they believe in it and their future success. At the end of the day, people bought into Elon and Tesla because they believed in the vision that he had and the potential that vision represented. In my opinion, MetaMaterials is more than some meme stock or short squeeze play. It has the potential of being transformational. And he wrote meme in all capitals, which is confusing because that is something to do with arcade machines. I think it's their emulation meme. Anyway, it has the potential of being transformational, but there are risks associated with first mover advantage. There are risks associated with technology development. Any shareholder within any company needs to be aware there are inherent risks. let's look at another perspective. Looking back at historical values on July 29th, 2020, that's last year, MetaMaterials was worth 23 cents on the off the market OTC. July 5th, MetaMaterials has a market cap of 2 billion. That is significant, not only based on today's market cap value, but execution speed. That says something to me. If you're not aware, July 6th is the first Catalyst MetaMaterials virtual event. You can register here. So before I continue on, I'm going to say that a year ago, this stock was worth a tenth, if not a lot less, because right now it's worth what is it, $6? So this is worth right now, if you multiply it by 5 times 6, 30 times. It's worth 30 times what it was worth last year. So my position, my opinion of waiting on the stock for another year, where would it be? Could we see it at possibly $30? Yeah. $20? Yeah. I believe the true value of this stock in the present, as of today, should be above $20, reflecting the Torchlight price of $22 a share. So that's without any deals. That's just based on like book value. It should be at least $20 per share. And right now we're seeing the price of $6.74. Fire sale again. You're buying this for a third of what it's worth. People say buy the dip. This is the dip. Don't wait on that. It's going to go right back up to $10 and then eventually 20, and then eventually where it should be, or I personally believe it should be above $50 with the deals looming, Tesla and all these other military aerospace companies that, again, are crown companies, easily over 100, easily. But that takes time. It takes time not only for those deals to be made, but for the fruits of that deal to be made known in its practical applications in the military, aviation, travel industry, and all sorts of industries such as medical and security and all these different areas where metamaterials uh, can can work in. Uh, Tesla being a really big one, I'd say the EV market, and not just EV, but even the automobile industry in general. I'll be going into more depth on metamaterials in future posts. I also plan to try something new in one of my future posts. So I'm going to bookmark this website. I found that very helpful. And see if there's any comments. There aren't any comments. So he's been doing regular posts on metamaterials. I feel like this will be a very good match. Me, Apex Investor, and this blog, powerroadmap.substack.com. Leszek Kowalski, thank you very much. Adapt or be left behind. Very good statement. I'm going to bookmark this and just open up and see, does he own Metastack, or it's not Metastack, Substack? If I go to the root URL, will take me to main page owner. Or is it just is it like WordPress.com where it's a bigger site? Oh, okay, he does own it. So it's powerroadmap.substack.com. Welcome to the Adapt or Be Left Behind newsletter, focusing on disruptive events that create unique financial opportunities for forward thinkers. Includes research, trading, processes, and insights, helping you to build your own power roadmap. And actually, you know what? I very much am in alignment with that kind of mindset, that it does take a lot of disruptive events. It takes a visionary mindset to envision, yes, a out of the box kind of innovation, but it also takes a certain, like, I'm not sure what it is, like wisdom, perhaps, to not only recognize these disruptive events, but to see where it's trending, to identify that this is going to be a trend, and to identify trends when they before they explode. So very good website here. I will keep track of this website. This might be a daily or at least weekly uh, check in. We'll check in with that. I might just leave it open in a tab, kind of like permanently or temporarily, depending on how long I'm going to be with MetaMaterials. Um, but I foresee staying with this company at least a year, if not 5, 10 years down the road. And this man makes a very compelling argument to stay with MetaMaterials in light of what happened with Tesla uh, in 2016. And you know what? It'd be a good point to look up Tesla right now and see how long did it take for it to eventually explode. So Innova Corp president is Andrew Ray. So that's the Ray that was being referred to. Okay, so Innova Corp is a Canadian company. It sounds like they are a crown corporation, perhaps, uh, but they raised 160 million US dollars uh, to invest into metamaterials. And this is the largest stock market capital ever raised for a startup in Canadian history. If that doesn't get your ears perked up, I don't know what will. So just imagine I just said this was the largest capital raised for any startup in American history. That's probably the best comparison. It's just nothing like this has happened in Canadian history. So if they didn't believe not only in the company, but in their products and their vision, you don't invest a dollar. You understand? Innovation-driven companies in Atlantic Canada had raised 243 million in capital so far this year. Meta listing drives that figure up over 400 million with the 160 million US dollars, or the equivalent of around 200 million Canadian. Okay, so shares of Torchlight and MetaMaterials both reacted to the lead up of the merger, all the hype surrounding that, from a price of under $3 to over 10, respectively, for both of them. And that indicates, I wouldn't say that's a short squeeze. That's not even a gamma squeeze. That's just hype. Um, a true gamma squeeze or short squeeze would bring that to probably 10 times as much, which would be $30 and above, $30, $40. That would be a sign of a gamma squeeze if that happened overnight or over the course of a week. But since it's happening gradually and slowly, that's actually a good sign. It's showing you that this company needs to prove itself. So I'm going to look at Tesla. See Wall Street Bets. This is a long live stream. I didn't plan for this to go this long, but I don't want to cover anything that isn't important, and I don't want to ignore anything by that same, measure. I don't want to ignore or neglect anything that is significant and should be known to shareholders of MetaMaterials. I feel like this is very important to report on it. These specific things that I've reported so far, particularly from this blog from Adapt or Be Left Behind by Leszek Kowalski there. So I'm going to take a look at Tesla and just to see, okay, so they were formally publicly traded. They went public on the NASDAQ, I believe back in 2016. That was around the time that I started getting into Bitcoin, if I'm not mistaken, 2016, 2018. And so back then, it was less than $10. But initially, before it went public, was valued, I think, at $17. Was shorted to $4. So I want to see, okay, how did it progress? How long did it take for Tesla to go to crazy heights of triple digits and then eventually quadruple digits? I mean, I'm not going to make the statement that MetaMaterials is going to $1,000. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I don't think that's a very wise statement to make, provided they haven't proven themselves. They haven't even reached double digits as metamaterials yet. So that's not something I can base on reality. It would be very unwise for me to say that. Not saying the potential isn't there, certainly is, but that would be too uh, premature. Okay, so Tesla opened up here. Just waiting for the chart to load. We'll go to WallStreetBets. I'll check the comments and then end the stream there. So today was a day off. The markets were not open, but there was still enough. I don't know what happened there. It was like a Daffy Duck. There was still enough to learn today to warrant a video. All right, it's taking a while. Okay, I might have to free up a lot of space on my computer. There's a test of patience, just this right now. So as I was saying, Monday, today, if the market was open, I was expecting to see a strong rally, or if not strong, at least a rally. That MetaMaterials, GME, AMC, a lot of these so-called meme stocks, I'm going to call them Wall Street bet stocks, maybe is a better descriptor, and trending stocks, will all see a rally on Monday. They're all going to end up in the green. I'm not going to guarantee that, but that's just my gut instinct saying that this is what's going to happen on Monday. That's just the pattern that has been taking place for since I've been tracking these stocks back in January, specifically AMC, GME. They've been trending where Friday's down, Monday is up. Friday's down, Monday's up. Okay, finally loaded. Sometimes it does stray from that pattern, but not too often. Okay, so this stock, again, went public 2016. Formally on the NASDAQ. Is that right? 2016? Or is it? No, it was 2010, I think. Anyhow, it was below $4. And then it went above $10 for the first time in April 1st, around there, 2013, around April Fool's Day. So it took 3 years just to get to double digits. And then it was stuck there. Eventually went up to 50 or so around 2015. But we didn't really see this really explode to triple digits until recently Wow, actually, it was really very recently. But we have to take into account this was a 5-for-1. So you have to multiply this value by 5, whatever the price is. So $4 is actually 20, and 25 is actually 100. So 2013 was when it went to triple digits. So uh, that means it took 3 years to get to triple digits, and then eventually when it went to 1,000, when it really exploded, was 2020. 2020, right around the merger time, or not merger, the stock split. So that took, as you can see, well, you can't see it, but as I'm telling you, 10 years. It took 3 to 10 years. But between 2013 to 2020, those 7 years in the oven, that was a very challenging time for shareholders of Tesla. Imagine you had 1,000 shares of Tesla, or 10,000 shares that you had bought for $4, not even four. Let's just say 20. You bought it at $20 a share back in 2010, 2013, and you said, you know what, I've been waiting 3 years. I've waited as long as I could. Hasn't reached double digits. I'm going to sell it off. And then just 3 years later, it went to $100. What is that? How much is that? That's 80 times a thousand. That's either 80 grand or as much as 800 grand, just because you're impatient and didn't believe in it. You didn't stick with your convictions. Maybe you were not convicted at all. That's only going to $100. It went to 1,000, which means you would have made $8 million. Yeah, 800,000 to 8 million if you invested 1,000 or 10,000 shares of Tesla at around $20. So let's look at MetaMaterials. You invest in that. You buy 1,000 shares at around 20. Let's say it goes up to $100. Very realistic scenario, but and Tesla shareholders went through a hard time between 2010 to 2020. Actually, even 2010 to 2013 was challenging. But those 7 years between 2013 to the eventual stock split was also challenging because it did see ups and downs. We're only seeing a surge in interest and in price just recently in the last couple of years. So that's important to consider. Okay, I'm going to look at WallStreetBets really quick, see what's going on there. I think it is a Wish subreddit and Superstonk. I'm not saying any. I'm not going to say anything negative about Superstonk. All I'm going to say is that I perceive Superstonk as more of a GameStop and AMC dominated discussion. So I don't know what else to say about that, but going there because I'm looking. My focus is on MetaMaterials and Bitcoin. So crypto related stocks such as Canaan, Mara, and Coinbase, among others. So WallStreetBets is finally loaded. It's over 10.6 million members and 52,000 online right now. Clover is a popular pick being showcased here. Okay, so someone posted how to play the upcoming stock market crash. I'm going to open that because I find that very intriguing discussion. Private entry point you'd want is, but AMD is a very good stock. It's not a meme stock at all. Facebook and Wish drops. Workhorse. So yeah, it is getting a little more diversified, a little bit. JPOW, I don't know what JPOW is. I think that's isn't that the guy with the Fed? Okay, I think that's all there. I'm going to look at this post, how to play the upcoming stock market crash. They're all just posting their portfolios and how much money they've gained and lost. Okay, so I'm going to close that tab and look at this, how to play the stock market crash. I was going to do a video on this topic. That was one of the big videos I had in the pipeline. So it's a good reminder to me. And the specific topic, I won't say what it is, but actually I'll say what it is just for the sake of reminding myself is I mentioned specific stocks you want to buy during the stock market crash. What are they? What are the stocks you should buy? That's what I'm going to focus on. Okay. Is it better to buy the more secure stocks such as Google, such as Apple, such as Facebook, such as JP Morgan, Bank of America, and so forth? Is it better to invest in those surefire stocks, companies, as opposed to buying, something you've been tracking a long time, such as GameStop, AMC, or something that has a lot more potential for growth to not just grow double or triple, but exponentially, meaning like 10 times, 20 times more? I think the answer is pretty straightforward, but I'm going to present not only that argument, but also the specific stocks you'd want to invest in the event of a stock market crash. And McDonald's is another company that would be on that surefire, pretty much these stocks will pretty much be here forever. Well, not forever, but for a long time. So the market is going to crash harder than a Boeing without updated software soon. It doesn't really matter what awesome thing you think you've stumbled onto. It's going to go down hard. Well, except for AMC and GME. Ever since the COVID crash, but that's coming to an end soon. So you don't want to lose all your attendees in the upcoming storm. Listen up. So what do you say? There won't be a market crash? Hang on, let me drop a little knowledge on you. The RRP numbers, which is the reverse repo program the Fed runs, where banks and other institutions park money at the Fed overnight in exchange for treasuries, then swap them back the next day. Oh my goodness, this sounds so corrupt. This usually at the end of quarters, and the rest of the time is super low. Over the last few months, it's been skyrocketing to all-time highs. It hit $991 billion this quarter. Then after Q2 checks ended, it fell all the way to $731 billion. Why is this bad? It means the banks either need collateral so bad they're putting this much up overnight to get it, or they'd rather get an annualized return of 0.05% than anything else, at a time when inflation is officially running at around 5% and unofficially as much as twice that. So yeah, if inflation is going to be a very big factor in the world very soon. The housing market is about to go boom in the bad way. Right now, we've got increasing prices, tons of supply, combined with decreasing sales. That's basically the perfect indicator of a bubble about to burst. Yeah, agreed. The end of the eviction moratorium is still waiting around the corner to dump millions of houses on banks that really don't want them. Wow. This should have already happened, but when the current administration got a look at the amount of doom coming, they quickly punted the ball. This person is a supporter of, I could see he's a supporter of the previous administration. An emergency extended the eviction moratorium by another month to the end of July. Kick that can all you want, it's still there and just getting bigger. Okay. And again, I'm not beating up on this guy because he's a supporter of previous administration. I'm just saying I noticed that. I find that Kind of funny. The commercial housing market is basically in the same place today as the residential market was in 2008. Oh, wow. Is that right? Banks are loaded to the brim with bad CMBS products. If you're confused how this could happen, again, only a few years later, it's pretty simple. All the guys who did the MBS nonsense in '08 didn't face any penalties, so they moved over to CMBS and started inflating the income of the businesses renting properties. Now, what has the pandemic done more than anything else? Killed small businesses, retail stores that make up the majority of tenants. Yeah, it's a good point. That is what happened. So you've got a bunch of companies that Amazon just puts out of business, and actually Walmart too, not paying their rent anymore, which means these small businesses could not sustain rent, which means the places they were paying rent to are no longer paying their mortgage. Oh my goodness, yeah, this is just a chain reaction of what could I say, depression, uh, financial depression. Combine that with many companies reducing their office footprints with hybrid work from home setups, and yeah, it goes it goes boom in a bad way. Yeah, agreed. So the signs are everywhere. Every company that can is going public right now, regardless of whether they make money or not. Yeah, good point. Retail is FOMOing into the market in a big way. Remember the line about how a guy knew the market was done when his shoe shine boy had stock tips? Now it's your Uber driver and pizza delivery guy. Yeah. Yep. It's a really good point. As much as Wall Street Bets has been revolutionary, and it has been in terms of this movement and creating a lot of new retail investors, it's also a sign that things are about to take a turn for the worse. Stock market crash, and what he said with the housing market crash as well. Margin debt is around 860 billion right now. Wow. When in doubt, zoom out. We've had people posting. It's a long post. You're about to go down to a market crash. I agree. It's just a matter of when, not if. All time highs, but 50% of stocks are under their 50-day moving average. Okay. Student loans, yeah, it's another factor. Don't take my word for it. Here's a list of prominent financial types calling for a stock market crash soon. Dr. Michael J. Burry, no pun intended, because we're going to get buried. A whole bunch of other buttheads have his track record, but are echoing it, such as myself. And this guy. How you do make money on the collapse. Don't try to pick companies and buy puts. If you do that, you have to root on stuff falling. Buy calls on SPXS, SQQQ, SDAO, then you get to root for things going up. I don't do posts very often. You know, I do agree with that when you buy into a hedge fund of multiple stocks. But personally, I just like to invest in the company directly. So I wouldn't. That's just my personal preference. I'm not going to buy a company that is an umbrella of or a collection of stocks. I'd rather just pick and choose what I want specifically. So I don't want Pepsi. I'd rather get Coke, or I don't want Coke. I'd rather get Pepsi. Or I'd rather not have Ford. I'd rather just have Tesla, for instance. But it's important to take into account uh, when the stock market starts to fall and eventually crash. You need to track the Dow not on a daily level, but on a macro level. So looking at it month to month and year to year to really get the sense that it is crashing. It is heading towards a crash. Okay, so that's all for that. I'm going to just take my own advice and check the Dow Jones to see Uh, are we headed towards that crash? I do believe so. This is going to be the case, but um, it's important to look at the macro, uh, look at it from a macro view. So I'm going to open up Dow Jones here and look at that on a bigger graph, and S&P 500 as well, and Bitcoin as well. Let's look at those three. I just check the comments quick and see what's going on there, if there's any comments at all. Boy, I didn't expect to make a video this long on a off day, but that's what happens. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of comments. Okay. All right, let's read. We got 5 people in here for some reason. Market closed today. Protect. Sorry, I'm not going to read any more comments. I'm just going to read them in my head first. Oh, I thought Hasten confused was me. Then I'm confused as to why isn't the market open today? Yeah, imagine buying 1,000 shares of MetaMaterials tomorrow at under $7, and then it going to 40 and possibly $100. My goodness, you're going to be rich, and then you can continue to grow that wealth, like have a snowball effect. Yeah, yeah, agreed. $20 is very realistic by the end of the year, by December 31st. I don't know if I've said this already, but I do own 1,000 shares. Initially, I did own 2020. I owned 20, not 20,000, 2020 shares of Torchlight, uh, believing, having the false belief that it was going to be a 1-for-1. It ended up being a 2-for-1. So I ended up getting half. So yeah, shout out to Matt's Market. Yeah. Check out his channel, Matt's Market. He's commenting there in the comment area there, the chat area. And let me just check out the Dow Jones. Yeah, so I did buy 2020 shares. I wasn't trying to get cute with it. It just so happened to be that number. And now that the reverse stock split happened, I now have 1,010 shares, and I'm averaging just below $10. But I did buy my first 20 shares for $2, so felt very good about that until I bought my 1,000 at $5, and I realized, oh wow, this is going to be a challenge. Just to as much as I tell people here to be patient and to exercise self-control, I have to do that myself. I can't just say it and not do it myself. Okay, so the trading, uh, it's at 34,000, just above 34,000. All right. So I'm just going to look at these 3 charts for the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, and the Bitcoin chart, just to see and analyze. Are we on a downward trend for all of these? How are they doing? What's the health of these? So looking at the Dow Jones, it's clear to me that the next crash has not happened yet. No, obviously has not. There was a crash in 2008. It's clear just looking at this chart. It went down from around 14,000, just over 13,000, almost 14, to as much as 7,000. So almost 50% of a crash in 2008. We had somewhat of a mini crash in 2020. 28, it was 28,000, going all the way down to 21,000. So it's hard to predict what number it will crash to, but because does the market behave like a stock in terms of support and resistance? Um, in some ways, yes. In some ways, it does. More in terms of support, because if we look at this level of 7,600, where it did drop to in 2009, actually, March 2009, it had not dropped to that level since. The lowest it's dropped since then is 21,000. So when we notice that the Dow Jones drops from 34,000 or 35,000 to 30,000, that's that should be a warning sign, a red flag that this is happening. If it does go down to 21,000, I think that would be a good indicator that that's a time to buy. Just my opinion, because that is roughly, that's not 50%, but it's significant. If it goes down to 17,000, yeah, that is definitely a pretty harsh crash. 50%. I don't know if it'll drop to 50%, most likely, maybe even 30, 40%. I feel like the economy is pretty strong, even though there are looming things in regards to the inflation, the housing market bubble, and all these other areas that were discussed in that post. So I think, could this go below 21,000? Yeah, it could, but I don't want to make any predictions as to how low it will go. But actually, I will make a prediction. It will be below 30,000, most likely. I think it will drop below 30,000. Would it go down to 21? I don't know, but it's important to just wait for it to drop and wait for that fear and panic to set in, and you're going to see a huge sell off in terms of all these other stocks that are not AMC and GME. MetaMaterials, I don't know how much they'll be affected by that, but we'll see. Yeah, so that's all for the Dow Jones. Um, and next, I'll look at the S&P 500. Right now, it's at 4,300. In the last 5 years, we can see in 2020, the same thing. 2000, it dropped from 3,300 to 2,300. So by 1,000 points there. And the max chart is showing that it was at 735 points on 2008, December 1st. And yeah, really, it dropped about 50% as well, close to that. So I'm anticipating at least a 30% drop, maybe as much as 50%. Some are saying 80%. I don't know if it's going to be that bad, but probably not. I don't think it'll go that low, but I could be wrong. So the S&P 500 could drop to uh, below 4,000, maybe even 3,500, maybe even 3,000. But once we see those two respective Dow Jones and S&P 500 have a drop below the values I just said, uh, those should be red flags. Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I'm not sure if Bitcoin is really affected by those stock market crashes. Uh, Looking at the macro chart will give us a better idea. So everything crashed for the most part in terms of the stock market. It did crash in March, around March 16th. Bitcoin was at how much was this? 13,000 roughly, 13,000 US per Bitcoin before that happened. When it did go down, Bitcoin also went down to around seven to 8,000 US dollars. So it dropped almost 50% as well. So there is concern that it could go down as well. It could fall with the stock market, but I don't see that uh, affecting it long term. I could see Bitcoin very much recovering a lot quicker. Um, because people will place their their savings, their assets, their wealth into Bitcoin rather than the US dollar. And this is a worldwide thing. It's not just limited to Americans, obviously. Looking at the max chart for Bitcoin, so we could see Bitcoin probably go back down to 30. I mean, it did dip from 75,000 all the way down to 40. That's where we are right now, currently. So 40 seems to be the support because it was up at 48, went down to 41, then went to 72, went down to 57. Yeah, I could see the resistance very clearly right now. It looks like 70, 70 plus. But again, Bitcoin is something you don't sell. It's something that you just hold on to until, it becomes a million or a billion. Um, yeah, that's very much in the realm of possibility of one Bitcoin becoming a billion US dollars, as ridiculous as that sounds. But a million is very realistic as well, actually more realistic. So Bitcoin, I think will go. I don't think it's going to stay down for too long, but we'll see what happens in regards to how it reacts to a pending stock market crash. When that happens, how will Bitcoin react? We've seen that it did go down, so it might go down as well to, let's say, 30,000, might go down to 20, 30,000 as a result of the stock market crash. But that's not going to stay that way for too long, especially when you have people trying to secure their wealth, their investments, and moving it out of the stock market into Bitcoin. And we're going to be using Bitcoin as a way to do trade and and to purchase things, since the U.S. dollar might will most likely be affected with all this inflation going on. But that is very much speculation. I'm not sure if that would happen. I think it's more likely a stock market crash would occur rather than the U.S. dollar becoming like Zimbabwe and Venezuela. I think they're going to find ways uh, to like golden parachutes, kind of be rescued out of it, or at least keep it relatively balanced. But I think they're going to try to mitigate and really alleviate the U.S. dollar crashing. I don't foresee that occurring anytime soon. It could happen, but more likely than not, it's the stock market crash is what we really should be looking for signs of. So that's all I have for this. Just gonna end it with that. Bitcoin, very good buy at this moment. I mean, 41,000. Uh, wow, this is a good deal as well. But if you have the money to buy into Bitcoin, yeah, buy Bitcoin right now. Just buy one Bitcoin, 42,000, and have your investment double in the near future. So that's all I have for this video. Not that that's all. Saying that was it was short. Definitely was a long stream, but now we have a better picture of what's going on in terms of MetaMaterials, in terms of the stock market in general, in terms of uh, what to do tomorrow, what we could possibly see tomorrow in terms of rallies. I was predicting a rally on Monday. Well, there wasn't a rally. There wasn't a decline either. So, so we have this time to just plan our attack, and very much looking forward to Tuesday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time when the markets open up. So thank you for your support. Let me read these comments and see if there's anything else to add. Okay, thank you very much for your input and for the support. But more than that, I just want to be able to help people to understand what's going on, and not only that, but to filter through the media narratives, especially a lot of the uh, fear, uncertainty, and doubt that is being pushed by the mass media, the mainstream media, where they don't seem to understand uh, why AMC was a good play, why GME was a good play until it happened. I mean, they were downplaying this stock or both stocks for the longest time. For the longest time, even after the not short squeeze, after the gamma squeeze in January, they were attacking those stocks, saying, don't put your money in AMC, don't put your money in GME. And then look what happened. The reality bit them in the butt. And I don't think anyone really should trust the mainstream media anymore when it comes to pretty much everything, I think. But that's just going into another discussion altogether. But if you are going to, you know, do your due diligence, if you're going to trust the media, do your research and prove what they're saying is right or wrong. Because sometimes they do report the truth, but they also report lies, or they'll mix the truth with lies. So uh, misinformation, they'll say something like, "Oh, AMC took off, but it's not a good investment because, um, whatever reason." To just release something that's just based on fear and speculation, not on fact, not on anything regarding short sellers, short interest, naked shorts, nothing like that of that sort. They're going to rely on their, typical Wall Street insiders or experts, so-called experts, saying, buy this instead. You're better off buying, any other stock. Let's just say they're going to say Facebook or whatever it is, Google, Amazon, but don't buy AMC and GME. They're just going to continue to stay where they are or go down. GameStop is only worth $10. AMC is only worth, $5. So anyway, that's all I have for today. It's become a rant. Thank you very much. And most likely we'll do an update tomorrow after the market closes, just to survey what had occurred. So again, I'm expecting very much, anticipating a rally, a strong rally. If not a strong rally, we're going to at least finish in the green for a lot of these trending stocks on WallStreetBets, such as AMC, GME, and MetaMaterials. So that's it. Thank you very much for your time, and God bless you and your investments. And happy 4th of July weekend for the Americans. Sorry, Americans. Why did I say Americans? I can't even say it properly. Okay. Apex Investor signing out. See you tomorrow.